Hi everyone, today we are going to talk about, it's 5.2, the polynomials. And the first thing, get a couple of vocab out of the way. I'm not sure you guys hear this kind of vocab before or not. So first thing is a monomial. Think about, monorail from Disney. If you seen one of those train around Disney World, and that's called a monorail. And monorail means you only have one track, so mono means one. And monomial is an expression that is a constant, which is number, a variable like an x or y or anything, or a product of a constant and a variable like 2x, or you can even have a negative 2x, or decimal is okay too, that are raised to a whole number powers. So you cannot have fraction and you cannot have negative. And so example 1 is like a 7, so that's a constant. And example B, 1b is going to be 3x squared, and that's like the constant and the variable. C is 9y, that's going to be a constant and a variable. And D is negative 0.6, that's the constant. So we didn't say anything about constant being a negative. You can have y and you can have y squared, because that's a product of constant and variable. So you can have as many as you want. The only thing you have to remember is you can only have one sign. If you have more than one sign, it's not a monomial. And then E is y to the fourth power. That's totally okay. All right. So those are the examples for monomial. Well, what is non-monomial? Well, non-monomial is like with the exponent in the denominator, because if you guys remember, this gets flipped. So that's going to be equal to 5x negative 2. Remember that. And then because that's 5x to the negative 2 power, that's not allowed because it's a whole number. No negatives. And then B, example B is going to be 3 terms. And I'd like to show you guys, I usually cut it up like this and then say the number follows the sign. The number follows the sign. So therefore, that is one term. And the 4 doesn't have a sign, but really it has a positive sign. So the number follows the sign. And that's what I want you guys to remember. And that's not a monomial because there's 3 of them. And the example 2a is because it's in the x is in the denominator. So the next thing we're going to talk about is the coefficient of the monomial, and that is the numerical factor, which is separated by multiplication sign, in a monomial. And I'll show you an example. And the degree of monomial is the sum of the exponents of all the variables in a monomial. Okay, so this is what you do. Your coefficient in 3a is just the negative 5, the number in front of it. And the degree is whatever that number, the exponent. If you only have a letter, one letter, and that is going to be the exponent of whatever the letter. So in this case, that's just 2. Then the next one is going to be, what's the coefficient? Well, the coefficient, example 3b, the coefficient is negative sign, but negative sign really is like a negative 1 times m. So the coefficient is going to be negative 1. And the degree is tricky because I have 2 letters. And because you have 2 letters, you guys have to understand, if I have a letter shows up, remember before, if anything to the 0 power is 1, but m is not 1. So therefore, I really have a 1 here. And because that is a 1, and the definition say the degree is the sum of the exponent. Here's the key word, sum of the exponents of all the variable. So you have to add them together in the monomial. So it's in this case, the degree is going to be 1 plus the 4, and that's really degree equals to 5. The next 3c is going to be coefficient, and it is only just going to be 7 because that's just the number. Now degree, think about it. Remember before we said x to the 0 power is 1? So technically this is like a times 1, and that's really x to the 0 power. So the degree is 0. And that's how you get the 1, and that's how you don't change the value on that. Next thing we're going to talk about is the binomial. Now binomial, I want you to think about a bicycle. Bicycle is like two wheels. So bicycle has 2 wheels, therefore binomial has 2 terms. So for example, something like 2x plus 5y. Now I want you guys to remember, I like to see the separation. You guys understand where is the separates? Remember, that's 1 term, that's 2 term. Notice I want you guys to remember the number follows the sign. The number follows the sign. Okay, that's how you split. So in this case, that's a positive 5 and that's a positive 2. I want you guys to say the signs to yourself all the time when you're doing problems, because that's one of the biggest mistakes a lot of you guys make when you're talking about numbers. Okay, now talking about the next one. The next one is a trinomial. That means a binomial containing 3 terms. It's like a tricycle. You have 3 wheels now. So what does that look like? Well, it will look like this. You can have 2x to the 2nd power plus x minus 1. You can also missing a term like this, 5x to the 4th power plus 2x to the 2nd minus x. You can have all those. That is 3 terms. Okay, you can have all letters. You can even have a fraction if you want to. So if you want to have 1 over 2 x to the 5th plus, let's say a different letter, you can definitely do that, 4y. Alright, and then you can have another one, minus 0.3. Let's say x to the 2nd. Because you have a separation of the terms 1, 2. So that is a positive half, that's a positive 4, that's a negative 0.3 for the coefficient in all those different terms. Hope that makes sense. All right. Based on the information I just gave you, please try example 4 through 7 and see do you get the same answers I do. Name what kind of monomial or binomial or trinomial, or no special polynomial name, or not even a polynomial here. Okay, and please pause your video and then you can check your answers after you're done. For example 4, I have monomial, and because we only have 1 term. Example 5, I have trinomial because I have 3 terms, and this example 6, I have binomial because there are 2 terms. Example 7 is not a polynomial because the y is in the denominator. Next thing we're going to talk about is the degree of polynomial. Okay, a lot of people get confused with the degree of polynomial and a degree of monomial right here. In the monomial, you just add every single exponent in one term. Polynomial's degree is you are going to find by saying find the greatest degree of any of the term, just one term. You need to find the degree for every single term first, and we are going to pick the biggest one. Okay, so let's take a look at example 8. When you look at example 8, what you're going to have is you have a degree right here. That's going to be 3. And then degree right here, that's going to be 9. Degree 4. And degree for the next one. Since I don't have anything there but the letter stays, that's going to be 1. Okay, that's 1. That's why how the x can stay. And 6, we don't have anything because that's like x to the 0 power, and that's why it's not there, because I become 1. So the exponent for that guy is going to be 0. In the individual terms, who has the biggest exponent? Well, in this case, it's going to be 9. So the degree of this polynomial is 9, the biggest one of each term. Now, if you look at the next problem, some of them has more than 1. So remember the rules from before. For one term, you have to combine them. So the degree for this one is 8. Degree for this one, I want to use a different color because so you can see, is 4, 5 plus 4. So therefore, it's going to be 9. And the next one is going to be 6 plus the 1. That's why it's going to be 7. And the next one is going to be 3. And next one is 0. Separation of the term, I want you to see it, is right here is the separation. So what is the biggest degree of this polynomial? 9 is the answer. Evaluate x to the third power minus 5x squared plus 7 when x equals negative 3. Now this one you guys just plug it in. And remember the previous one? If I write it as f of x, you should also understand how to do that. So to do this, it's going to be negative 3 to the third power minus 5 times the negative 3 to the second power plus 7. All right? But you need to show steps, and that's negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3. In this case, you should recognize that's negative 27. And then you have order of operation first, so that means this part gets done first. And that is going to be a positive 9 because you should understand that's negative 3 times negative 3. That's a positive 9. And because of that, that's going to be positive 9 times negative 5. It's going to be negative 45. And plus 7. And if you want to use a calculator, you are absolutely more than welcome to. But make sure you punch in the calculator correctly. So you have negative 27 minus 45 plus 7. So that's going to be negative 65. And that is the answer. And please make sure that you at least show me the step of plugging in the number, because I want to make sure you understand how to plug in correctly. Okay, show me the work. I expect to see work from now on. Except when you are doing the degrees that you can see it right away, that's fine. Okay. Combine like terms and write the resulting polynomial in a descending order. That means from the biggest to the smallest. Okay, so that's descending. So in this case, I'm going to combine like term. Now to combine like term, remember what I show you. You need to understand where you are separating your terms. So to separate my terms, I'm going to draw the line to start off with. You don't have to do this for, after you get used to it. So I like to draw my line just because it will keep me organized and making sure I don't miss any term. And I usually start with my biggest exponents. So in this case it's 3 x to the third power. So I have 12 minus 2. See how you can pick up the sign. And if it's 12 minus 2, that's just 10 x to the third. See, I'm putting things in order already. So that's marked, so I know that's gone. And then also another thing is I do not like to just mark off the problem because sometimes if you want to go back and check, it gets a little bit harder. So the next one is the second power. So here's my second power. And with iPad, you can pick any color you want. So that's going to be positive 5 plus 1. That's going to be plus 6x squared. Notice the x is a square. Then the next one I have is going to be the x, 3, 2, 1. So the x, I'm going to put 3 lines here, and then oh, there's 3 lines. Hey, but that's a positive 6 and negative 6, so therefore it's going to be 0. I don't have to write it down. Okay, and the last one, I'm going to do squiggly line. So that's negative 13 plus 2. And negative 13 plus 2 is like you lost $13 and you found $2. You lost still $11. So minus 11. And that is all you have to do. Please let me know if you have any question. That concludes our notes. Thank you for watching.